I never imagined that the people I trusted most could harbor such dark intentions. My name is Catherine Matthews, though most know me as Kate, and I have spent my life building not just wealth, but a legacy, one that stretches far beyond the $3 billion fortune I have accumulated. Yet, the true test of life does not come from the battles we fight in business or society, but from the betrayals that lurk silently within our own homes. It started with subtle changes, small whispers and fleeting glances that did not quite match the words spoken over family dinners. My son, Michael, always seemed distant, but I brushed it off as stress from work. Lauren, my daughter-in-law, wore smiles that did not reach her eyes. Something felt off, and deep down, I knew I could not ignore it. I had to watch, to listen, and to protect myself before the situation escalated. The more I observed, the clearer it became. Michael and Lauren were not just careless or greedy. They were planning something unimaginable. They were plotting to take everything I had worked for, to snatch away not just my fortune but my life itself. The betrayal stung worse than anything else. The thought that my own family could conspire against me sent chills down my spine. But I was not going to be a victim. I would gather evidence, record their actions, and make sure that the truth could never be denied. This is the story of cunning, betrayal, and the lengths one must go to protect themselves when trust is shattered. If you want to witness the shocking twists of this real-life family drama and see how I navigated every dangerous move, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You want to miss a single moment of the story that proves reality can be stranger and darker than fiction. As I pieced together the fragments of their deceit, the picture that emerged was more chilling than I could have imagined. Michael and Lauren had moved beyond subtle manipulation and whispered schemes. They were orchestrating a plan that was both calculated and ruthless, a blueprint designed to endanger my life while covering their tracks with precision. It was not just greed or impatience, they had mapped out every detail. Studying routines, habits, and the smallest vulnerabilities as if they were architects of a sinister design. The method they chose struck me with a particular horror. Digitalis, a potent heart medication, which in the wrong hands could be deadly. I had read about its effects in medical journals and seen its potential misuse in cautionary tales. Yet to imagine it applied in my own home, against my own heart, made the danger immediate, tangible, and terrifying. They planned to administer it in a way that would mimic natural illness, ensuring that any suspicions would be delayed, confused, or dismissed altogether. The cold, clinical logic behind their choice revealed a level of calculation that left me shivering. This was no spur-of-the-moment act of greed, but a meticulously choreographed attempt to inherit a fortune at any cost. And if that alone was not enough, they had devised a secondary layer of deception, a fire, staged to mask the true cause of any disaster. They imagined the flicker of flames and smoke obscuring evidence, transforming their crime into what the world would perceive as a tragic accident. Every scenario they envisioned had contingencies. Every detail considered, from the placement of objects to the timing of alarms, all engineered to delay discovery and manipulate perception. It was as if they were writing a script, where they played the grieving family, while I was meant to disappear silently in the chaos. I began to notice the subtle hints that betrayed their rehearsed composure, the casual mentions of heart conditions when we talked about health, the strangely specific questions about my routines, the curiosity about which rooms were least monitored. At first, I doubted myself, questioning if paranoia was clouding my judgment, but the pattern grew undeniable. I had to confront the reality that those I had trusted with my life were calculating its end, their intentions hidden behind smiles and polite conversation, their ambition sharper than any blade. The knowledge of their plot forced me into a state of constant vigilance. I moved cautiously, observing every gesture, every whispered comment, every inconsistency in their stories. I recorded small interactions, noticed what was left unsaid, and began to anticipate their moves as if I were learning the choreography of a dangerous dance. The realization that their plan involved both a chemical weapon and a staged catastrophe made every moment a test of wits. Every dinner, every casual encounter, a potential rehearsal of their cruel design. As the days passed, the tension thickened, a heavy, almost physical presence that shadowed every interaction. Their ambition, once invisible, became a palpable force, shaping the rhythm of my own movements, dictating how I navigated my home and protected my well-being. I felt the sharp contrast between the warmth of family and the icy precision of betrayal, understanding that survival in this scenario required not just awareness, but strategy, patience, and a calm mind that could see the dangerous patterns forming around me. It was a revelation that altered the way I perceived every interaction, every smile, and every seemingly innocent question. The world I had built within the walls of my home was suddenly laced with threats. A stage for a silent confrontation where knowledge and foresight were my only shields. And though the weight of their intentions was a constant shadow, it also became my driving force, compelling me to outthink, outmaneuver, and prepare for a confrontation that was no longer hypothetical, but a matter of life and death. I realized that knowledge alone would not be enough to protect myself. I needed evidence, irrefutable proof that could expose their intentions before any harm could befall me. Every move I made after that was calculated, deliberate, a silent countermeasure against the betrayal I had uncovered. I began recording conversations in subtle ways, placing small devices where their discussions could be captured without alerting them. Every whispered plan, every carefully veiled suggestion preserved in digital memory. It was an odd kind of theater, this act of watching while being watched. The tension building each time I pretended ignorance while they outlined their schemes with such chilling precision. Collecting financial and legal documents became another layer of my defensive strategy. I sifted through records that once seemed mundane contracts, bank statements, trust papers, but now each page held the potential to reveal motives, connections, or inconsistencies that could confirm my suspicions. Every signature, every line of text was examined meticulously, scanned, cataloged, and compared against their words and actions. It was exhausting. Meticulous work, yet essential, for in these silent, paper-strewn hours I was constructing a map of their ambition, a trail that would one day illuminate the full scope of their conspiracy. Simultaneously, I monitored their behavior with a subtlety that required constant vigilance. I noted patterns in the way they moved through my home, the timing of their interactions, the hidden glances exchanged that spoke volumes in a language they assumed only they could understand. I watched the small gestures that betrayed impatience or satisfaction, the moments when their plans nearly slipped through the veneer of civility, all cataloged mentally alongside the recordings and documents. Each day was a careful balancing act between appearing normal, maintaining the illusion of trust, and collecting enough evidence to ensure that if their intentions escalated, I would be ready to confront them with certainty. Even routine activities became opportunities to gather proof. Casual discussions about investments, questions about estate matters, inquiries into my schedule, all carefully documented. I photographed receipts and ledgers, digitally archived conversations, and cross-referenced statements for discrepancies that might indicate manipulation or deceit. It was a world of silent observation, where patience became as crucial as vigilance. and the smallest detail could tip the balance in my favor. The more I collected, the more the enormity of their betrayal revealed itself. The recordings captured the subtle arrogance in their voices, the way they assumed their schemes would go unnoticed, the meticulous plotting that mirrored the seriousness of a calculated strategy. The documents confirmed it. Transfers, proposed amendments to my trust, plans for asset liquidation, all pointing toward a future where they would gain everything at my expense. I felt a strange mixture of fear and empowerment. Fear for the potential danger they represented. Empowerment in knowing that each piece of evidence brought me closer to ensuring justice would be served. That their ambitions could not succeed without exposure. As I watched and recorded, the tension became almost tangible. A quiet storm swirling through the corridors of my own home. Each day, I honed my awareness, learning to anticipate their moves, to recognize the signals of scheming before they even fully formed. The process was mentally exhausting, but with each piece of proof, each subtle confirmation of intent, I felt a growing sense of control. In a situation where deceit and ambition had turned intimate bonds into weapons, the evidence I gathered was my shield, a silent force that promised that when the time came, I would confront their betrayal not with emotion alone, but with an undeniable record of truth that could not be ignored. The culmination of months of silent observation. Careful documentation and painstaking vigilance arrived on an ordinary evening that suddenly transformed into a stage for truth. A moment when the careful web I had spun finally ensnared those who sought to betray me. I had spent countless hours coordinating with trusted security professionals, ensuring that every angle of the house, every entry and exit point, every potential contingency was accounted for, all while maintaining the appearance of routine domestic life, so that Michael and Lauren remained unaware that their schemes were being watched as closely as they executed them. That night, I sensed the tension before it fully revealed itself. A subtle shift in their demeanor, a glance exchanged in hurried calculation, the kind that spoke volumes to someone attuned to the language of deceit. I had arranged for surveillance to be unobtrusive yet comprehensive. Cameras and sensors hidden in corners and hallways. Audio discreetly capturing even the faintest whisper. Every document I had meticulously collected, the trust papers. Financial statements. Correspondence was accessible, ready to corroborate what my senses had already begun to piece together. I remember standing at the edge of the room, heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and resolve, as I activated the final sequence that would ensure their plan could be halted at the precise moment it threatened to cross the line from plotting to action. The knowledge that all of my preparation would soon be tested made the air heavy, almost electric, as if the house itself held its breath. Michael and Lauren moved with an unsettling confidence, convinced that the digitalis they had procured and the fire plan they had staged would proceed without interruption. They underestimated my patience, my attention to detail, and my resolve to protect myself without giving away any hint of suspicion. The moment they initiated the act, the hidden cameras captured their every motion, every subtle sign of guilt amplified by the knowledge that their deception was now fully exposed. Simultaneously, the security team, carefully positioned and silent, responded immediately to the signals I had arranged, moving into the house with precision, their presence a silent reinforcement of the evidence that I had painstakingly gathered. I watched with a strange mixture of relief and disbelief as the confrontation unfolded. Their faces, once confident and calculating, betrayed shock and confusion as they realized that the meticulous planning they had counted on so heavily was now their undoing. Each piece of evidence I had collected, the recordings of their conversations, the legal documents showing intent, the subtle patterns of behavior they had assumed went unnoticed, served as undeniable proof of their conspiracy. It was not only the physical act of catching them in the process that mattered, but the clear narrative that emerged from the data I had gathered, a story that left no room for doubt or denial. When the authorities arrived, the weight of their betrayal was laid bare. The arrest was swift, methodical, and without the chaos they might have expected. Each step underscored by the certainty that their actions had been documented from the first hint of malice. The charges were serious and undeniable: attempted murder, arson, conspiracy, and the case was built not on hearsay or emotion, but on irrefutable evidence that traced the full arc of their intentions. I felt a profound sense of resolution as I witnessed them being taken into custody, their schemes dismantled, their confidence replaced by the stark reality of accountability. In the aftermath, the house seemed almost to exhale, the tension that had lingered for months finally dissipating. I moved through the rooms with a quiet awareness, knowing that the danger had been neutralized not through confrontation alone, but through careful planning, foresight, and a determination to protect myself while upholding the truth. The ordeal reinforced a lesson I had learned in the most personal of ways: vigilance, preparation, and clarity of mind are as powerful as any defense. And justice, when approached with patience and precision, has a way of revealing itself in the end. The courtroom was a theater of tension, every eye drawn to the drama that had unfolded over months and now demanded judgment. I sat with a calm determination that belied the storm of emotions I had weathered in private, knowing that every careful observation, every hidden recording, every legal and financial document I had collected would be put to the test under the scrutiny of the law. From the moment the trial began, it was clear that Lauren's lawyer intended to weave a narrative designed to sow doubt, framing her client as a dutiful daughter-in-law caught in misunderstanding, rather than a conspirator driven by greed and malice. They spoke with practiced ease, twisting words and gestures into a story meant to distract from the overwhelming evidence. Yet I felt no hesitation, because I knew the truth was meticulously documented and impossible to refute. As the proceedings moved forward, I presented the recordings that captured their private conversations, the subtle planning, and the moments where intent could not be disguised. I watched as the court absorbed the proof, the reactions of the jury shifting with each piece of evidence laid bare, a silent acknowledgement of the reality I had painstakingly exposed. Expert testimony was called, specialists who dissected the methods and intentions behind the plot, explaining in precise terms the nature of the Digitalis plan and the staged fire, their insights illuminating the premeditation and risk that had been embedded in every calculated move. I could see the growing recognition in the courtroom, a shared understanding that the deception was neither imagined nor circumstantial, but deliberate and dangerous. Every document I had gathered was presented in context, revealing financial maneuvers and legal arrangements that made the motives impossible to ignore. The intricate planning that Michael and Lauren had thought clever now lay open under the microscope of justice, and the jury could see the continuity of their actions from conception to execution. I found a strange clarity in recounting these details, each piece of evidence a testament to the foresight and vigilance that had allowed me to survive their betrayal. It was not only about proving their guilt, but about telling the full story, the narrative of intent and manipulation that could not be refuted by charm or false innocence. Lauren's lawyer attempted to redirect attention, raising questions about my motivations, implying bias, or questioning the reliability of recordings. But each objection was met with calm, factual responses, expert corroboration, and the undeniable trail of documentation that tied the plot together. I sensed the subtle shift in the courtroom atmosphere as doubt was replaced with clarity, as the narrative constructed by their defense crumbled under the weight of verifiable evidence. It was a moment that underscored the importance of preparation, the power of meticulous observation, and the effectiveness of patient, measured action when confronting deception. By the time closing arguments were delivered, The story I had revealed my careful collection of proof, the expert analysis, and the detailed chronological documentation resonated fully. The jury had been presented with a clear and unbroken thread from intent to action, and it was impossible to ignore the stark reality of Michael and Lauren's conspiracy. I felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, a recognition that justice in this case was not the product of chance but of deliberate, unwavering diligence. The trial affirmed the truth I had fought to preserve, demonstrating that evidence, clarity, and unwavering commitment could overcome manipulation and deceit, ensuring that accountability was both realized and respected in the eyes of the law. As the courtroom emptied and the final gavel struck, I felt a wave of relief wash over me, tempered by the lingering awareness of how close I had come to losing everything, not just wealth, but the trust and security of family that I had once taken for granted. The story of Michael and Lauren was a stark reminder of the subtle yet powerful dangers that can arise when greed overtakes morality, and it reinforced for me that wealth, no matter how immense, can never replace vigilance, foresight, and a careful, deliberate approach to protecting one's life and legacy. In those tense months leading up to the trial, I had learned to observe quietly, to gather evidence meticulously, and to anticipate every possible move from those who might wish me harm. What could have been a tragedy became a testament to the power of strategic intelligence and careful planning, showing that even in the face of betrayal, one can turn knowledge and foresight into protection and justice. The experience left me with a deep appreciation for the value of documentation. Every recording, every financial statement, every legal detail I had collected proved crucial in building a narrative that the court could not ignore. It was a vivid lesson that diligence and preparation are not just abstract virtues, but tangible tools capable of safeguarding both life and legacy. I realized that true protection comes from understanding the potential for deception around us, from recognizing that appearances can be deceiving, and from acting decisively when necessary. The world is filled with hidden motives and concealed ambitions, and while one cannot anticipate every action, having a system of observation, evidence, and legal preparedness provides a shield against the unforeseen. Looking back, I recognize that the story I have lived and now shared carries lessons that extend beyond my personal experience. It is a cautionary tale for anyone entrusted with responsibility, wealth, or influence. Trust is precious, but it must be tempered with awareness, and generosity must never blind one to the realities of human ambition. The interplay of vigilance and intelligence is what turned a potentially catastrophic betrayal into a vindication of both judgment and principle. I learned that life can be precarious, but careful planning, strategic insight, and thorough documentation are powerful allies that allow us to navigate danger with clarity and purpose. As I reflect on these events, I feel compelled to share not only the story but the wisdom it imparts. In a world where betrayal can be cloaked in familiarity, where intentions may be hidden beneath smiles and assurances, it is our responsibility to protect ourselves, our loved ones, and our legacies through awareness, intelligence, and proactive measures. This journey has strengthened my resolve, sharpened my perception, and underscored the significance of foresight. Thank you for joining me on this journey through a story of intrigue, betrayal, and resilience. I hope the lessons I have shared resonate with you and encourage careful reflection on trust, vigilance, and the ways in which we safeguard what matters most. If you found this story insightful, inspiring, or cautionary, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss future stories that explore the complexities of human ambition, strategy, and resilience. Your support allows more narratives like this to reach viewers who value learning from real-life experiences. And I am grateful to share these moments with each of you.